John, how's it going? It's a Thursday night. A little late,
Hey, Eric.
but it's all good.
Little late. Yep, little late, but better late than never. Better late than skipping.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
I had a reasonably productive weekend. So I have probably since we started the podcast had a homegrown home security system that I ripped out the protection one or whatever the main board was from the company when the house we bought it, and I built my own custom with little Raspberry Pis everywhere. I've since ripped that out, and now I'm replacing it yet again with something a little bit different. So I had I'll say productive weekend, repurposing some of the low voltage wires and making some new custom 3D printed parts to mount new security sensors in the place where the old ones were, which it also involved...
Is there some question for whether or not they sense?
No, they're working so far. Like some are cameras, some are motion sensors, some are just contact sensors on the doors. And I'm trying to get it all wired in with maybe I'll get it wired in with a security system, like a commercial security system that I believe I could hack to include my own custom things into it. Hack's probably wrong. Anyways, doesn't really matter. I had fun, I had to repaint in spots because when I took the old sensors out, they were kind of big and bulky and ugly, and mine are much smaller. And so...
It's probably a couple years new,
Yeah.
Been a couple years.
So it was fun. I had a spare few moments. It's nowhere near getting done, but I accomplished something. So I called it good.
That's nice. That's nice. I feel bad, asking about your weekend. It's almost the next weekend, but that's how, most of our sort of conversation starts. But
yeah,
Thursday feels a little late. Wednesday feels just fine.
That was hump day.
Funny.
So acceptable.
I guess. Yeah. Still looking back, not looking forward. I don't know. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened? What did I do this weekend? My parents were kind of passing through. They just sort of did a touch and go, I guess you'd say, in maybe airplane parlance. But they came in Saturday and left Monday morning. They snowbirding. So this is them flying south to Arizona for the winter. Except they weren't flying; they were driving.
Right.
But anyway, they came, brought. I don't remember if I did why I would have said it, but they left their trailer here for the summer, their camper, and so they came, picked it up, and started heading south through. I don't remember. I think they must have gone through. I don't remember if they were going to go through Nevada or California.
To get to Arizona, it's one of those two.
It's a couple days from here to Arizona, so I think it took them 2.5 days of driving. But they were coming down from Alaska and with 3 ice chests of moose meat. And so I traded them some hamburger for some moose. So
all right, I have a question.
Okay.
Why is it moose burger and why is hamburger not cow burger? If it's moose burger,
I am not the etymologist. I'm sorry. I don't know where hamburger comes from.
It's late. I'm tired. I'm staring at the notes going, this is the thing that runs through my head.
One doesn't say cow burger. Yeah, sorry.
Moo burger?
I have no idea. Moo burger.
I mean, if we're...
That's funny. Well,
right.
Our favorite restaurant that used to have all the bison and
llama.
Other llama burgers and everything else went out of... I don't know that they went out of business.
So much as retired, right?
Yeah, I was told by somebody that they're going to put in a roundabout there on that corner, and that they got bought out. But I don't know if that's true or not because there has been no sign of construction. But the restaurant has been shuttered.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I don't know. If I ever have you over for burgers before the moose burger is gone, I can make you a moose burger. I don't know.
I would be curious to see what a moose burger tastes like. I have had all sorts of animal burgers. I have yet to have a moose burger.
Tastes like burger. Doesn't taste like chicken. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, what else was I going to say? The other thing I was going to say is that I did not have a lot of time, but I played around with a couple more things. Actually, I have one sitting on the X-Carve bench right at the moment that I haven't yet taken apart to see how well it worked. But I made a couple of mistakes. 3, I think, to be precise. One of which was I gave it the wrong depth of material. And for whatever... so I broke a bit. The router didn't lift the bit up far enough and was like, and now we're moving over here. But let's leave the bit back there.
Got it.
Because it drug across. I thought, what was my second one? My second thing was there's this dust shoe that goes on the router that helps collect dust that the vacuum attaches to. I thought it went up and down with the router. And so I kind of put it right underneath the router when the router was lifted pretty high. And when the router comes down, it broke through the dust shoe because the dust shoe is affixed to the gantry because I'm a dum-dum and should have noticed that, hey, this is attaching to the parts of the Z-axis that do not move up and down. Okay, nothing too... Ironically, I had spare parts for that, so no big deal. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3, what was number 3? Number 3 was... Oh, this was number 3. Number 3 was I was trying to drill something out with a bit that was too short. And so it was like a 16th inch bit, which was only like half an inch long. And I was in a 3/4 inch MDF. Didn't realize this. And so it caught on the figure that it was drawing out. And so the whole router kind of pulled on basically the tip of the router was down inside the cavity that it had drilled out, that it was drilling out. And when it hit the edge of the board, it basically pulled it out of my tie downs.
Right. So
it basically shifted the whole board like, I don't know, a couple inches. Right. And then that, of course, messed that whole thing up. That one was probably the bad one because I actually had decided, well, this is going really nicely. And it was going to be a 30-minute carve. And so I left the shop to go work in the garden for 20 minutes. Came back in and was like, oh, well, whoops, that didn't work. No major harm done, I guess. But I think I did kind of hash that bit quite a bit. But it didn't break. What was I think that was the main thing. I think those were my 3 accidents this weekend. So I was basically like 0 for 3 with the 4th being a question mark. Wow. But I don't know. Oh, sorry. No, that was my other. Sorry, I had a 4th flub up, which was I thought that I could restart after doing an emergency shutdown. I thought I could restart it without re-zeroing the where its 0 was. I thought I could say use last position, and that was a no.
Okay.
So I had to immediately hit an emergency shutdown again and go like, now let's. Anyway, I'm learning.
That's right.
Perhaps. Well, whether I learned or not time will tell if I make the same mistake again. So far, each mistake has been different.
Mistakes are just happy accidents.
Yeah, need some happy little clouds. So what is on my board at the moment that it finished cutting out, but then I had to go, and then I wound up, I haven't had a chance to go see if they'd actually worked yet, the software has the ability to do inlays. So you take a shape and then you can have it compute an inlay.
Okay.
So it'll carve out sort of the hollow, and then it'll separately carve out the edge around something to go in the hollow. So this is something you would do if you were gonna, take like a dark wood and put it inside a light wood, and something like that, inlays. And so I did that just in MDF, so just testing to see if this works. And I've got to take it off and cut them out, and then I can see if the one fits in the other. I haven't done that yet, but that's my current experiment.
Fun.
It should be. Now I just need some time. If you could find me some time, Eric, I would really appreciate it. It'd be awesome.
Looking for that myself.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. All right. Anything else fun?
Now we move into some follow-up.
I saw we both put some follow-up in today.
So mine's really short. I just thought this was funny. The Facebook went down, last week? So there's a company that does, traffic monitoring for tons of customers around the world. And they had a short little blurb about, so what did people do when Facebook went down? And for 5 hours, people read news from actual news sites across 60 countries instead of reading Facebook. So I thought that was interesting that Facebook went down and people were still able to find their news from direct sources. And I'll just leave that comment right there. We can move on.
You sure you're not meaning anything else about that, Eric? All right. My follow-up was I'm going to be the record guy tonight. So my follow-up was NSA warns of ALPACA.
I remember ALPACA.
Attack. Yeah, we actually called the episode and had alpaca. In fact, it was episode 183. There's something funny about a shaved alpaca.
There's still something funny about a shaved alpaca.
Having seen them, yes, I think so. Actually, like shaved dogs, they're shorn sheep look funny. Anyway, so what is this? So this was actually a multi-part warning by the NSA, but because the first part was about, I didn't pull all this out, but it was warning companies about misuse and overuse of wildcard TLS certificates. So, basically saying, please don't. And yes, it's easier to manage, but you should have a certificate for each of your servers or services, not a wildcard.
Yeah.
And then they added, the actual quote was, in addition, the NSA's advisory also comes with a warning about the new application layer protocol content confusion attack, ALPACA, which was disclosed earlier this summer and which is also exploitable because of the use of wildcard certificates. And then I pulled out a couple other things here. At the time it was disclosed in June, the issue was not taken seriously because executing an ALPACA attack required that threat actors be in a position to intercept web traffic, something difficult in some scenarios. 4 months later, the NSA is urging organizations to take the matter seriously, check if their servers are vulnerable, and mitigate the risk, especially if the organizations deal with sensitive information or are part of the U.S. government network. So, I do not know anything else about why this would be the case, but I think in general, when the NSA suggests that something is a good idea, they often have reasons. Mm-hmm. So I will be curious to see if something else comes out in the next months. But this, I actually I hadn't known about this. It says, while the NSA recommends several defenses, the agency is asking organizations to enable Application Layer Protocol Negotiation, or ALPN, which is a TLS extension that prevents servers from responding to requests via non-allowed protocols, FTP, IMAP, whatever the server owner decides to disallow. So I didn't know about that TLS extension. So there you go.
Okay.
Beware shaved alpacas.
Beware shaved alpacas. All right. Well, my topic for today was actually happened today, earlier today. Let me rephrase. It became interesting earlier today. So apparently in Missouri, St. Louis, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website had a flaw, and that flaw basically allowed anyone who decided to right-click and do a view source access to all the social security numbers of the teachers.
How in the heck fire do you put 100,000 social security numbers in the source code of a web page?
Not sure. So the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was the news agency, the journalist who discovered the impact and turned around and notified the Department of Education, hey, your website is leaking this. And the Missouri governor became Twitter famous earlier today for basically referring to the people who found this flaw as hackers and was going to seek to prosecute them and anyone else who aided in the publication in its attempt to embarrass the state and sell headlines for their news outlet. So,
holy moly.
Just
chalk one up to ignorant government officials. Holy.
Yeah, I think there may be a little more. I read through the actual article. This is a Krebs on security article that I read, and just looking through this, it's maybe there's some more details that are not there, but it sure seems like that it exactly is, from what I can gather up to this point, is it's not really a hack if you right click on a web page and say view source. That's not what hackers do. That's what your kids do in order to hide certain things or change the text on a web page if they want to be funny. So, yeah. Because immediately after the tweet, people started retweeting pictures of the governor of Missouri saying obnoxious things on Twitter by basically taking one of his tweets and right-click, views, edit source, change the text, go look at what it renders.
Look, I'm a hacker.
So, unfortunately, I think this was instead of saying, thank you for, telling us about this, and the newspaper, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, did the right thing. They didn't publish their story until after the Department of Education in Missouri was fixed the flaw by removing the page, the information. So, it's not that someone could go do it now, but instead of saying, thank you, they're going to prosecute them. So I'm sure there will be more on this in the next few days. Like I said, this was early today when I first saw this. So I'm sure there will be some additional education that comes out, or the Missouri governor will try to quietly sweep it under the rug.
Fixing the flaw could cost the state $50 million. I would be happy to throw 100,000 entries into a DynamoDB. Throw a web service in front of that and only charge them $25 million.
I'd do it for 10.
Oh, come on. This is a race to the bottom.
Anyway, so that's the article that I saw today. That just a reminder, just because this isn't, there is some education that needs to be done as to what hackers actually do versus what someone is trying to do ethically and help something. I'm sure they were excited as journalists to say, hey, I've got a cool news story. The state is doing something bad. Well, it's a very newsworthy story.
Looks like they did the right thing. Yeah, this seems very...
So,
yeah. So I would say good luck, and I hope the EFF if
you read the Krebs on security article, they're involved. So, well, I'm sure if we don't have follow up next week, that means this just quietly went away, or is attempting to quietly go away.
Somebody quietly explained to the governor, that's not how electronics work.
That's not how this works. Anyways, there you go.
Okay. All right. There you go. That's a good article. I had not actually seen that either. All right. My article, I think, for this week is this was actually came out late last week, but this was a botnet of TP-Link routers that were abused as part of what they called an underground messaging as a service operation. So, and for years, so since at least 2016, this says. So, across the years, these infected routers were used to send out betting tips, verification codes, confirmation for online payments and donations, and for sending cryptic messages, which researchers have yet to crack their meaning. Interesting. This was revealed in I guess last week in a virus bulletin security conference by two security researchers. So Newman is the name of one of them, said he first started digging into the botnet in May of 2018 after he was asked to investigate a hacked 4G capable router that yielded a huge phone bill for its owner, most of which came from a large number of outgoing SMS messages from the SIM card in the device. So clearly didn't have unlimited texting or something along those lines. But these were all TP-Link MR6400 routers, which had basically 4G capable and used in places that you didn't have good network, basically. But that it says what happened next was one of the most challenging and convoluted findings in Newman's career, part of an investigation that spanned 3 years and involved gathering clues and logs from multiple victims in order to piece together the botnet's attacks and operations. So it took 3 years. 3 years to track this down and then sort of reveal last week. So he was able to reproduce the exploit, used a 2015 flaw to access one of the router's LTE functions, responsible for sending out messages and reading incoming ones. While this vulnerability was fixed in later versions of the firmware, Newman said thousands of devices had been available online at the time, and many of which remain unpatched today, even to this day. So we know the issues with patching firmware of devices. But so they don't truly know how this was monetized per se, because they never found any ads for the service. But it was obvious that the threat actor organized the routers they were able to hijack into a botnet, and then given the variety of SMS messages that they were able to track down these various routers sending, that they must have sold the ability to send cheap SMS messages to various parties around the world. So there's a comment in here that says the wide variety of SMS sending campaigns suggests the existence of a pretty broad customer base willing to pay for the service. Right. Because it's a lot cheaper than paying for telecom companies to send SMS messages.
Right.
So I thought that was particularly interesting. It says the botnet is on the decline at this point, though. Even though the exploitation is not over, but it says the lack of interest from cyber criminals, updating of devices firmware to a non-vulnerable version, moving on to a newer vulnerable model with greater market share, or enabling of specific barring of sending SMS functions on the SIM cards could all be contributing to the decline. So, it was interesting, and I guess there's no notion in here for how lucrative it was, but vulnerability hid kind of in the shadows for clearly 3 years-ish. And how many of these things are going on and continue to go on even today that we don't
get SMS
know
spam.
about, right? Oh, yeah.
I hate it. So somebody's doing something with SMS. So whether it's hacked routers like this or what have you,
There's tons of it.
I get SMS spam all the time. So
yes. Yes. Well, anyway, that was my article for the week.
Okay.
I thought that was a good one.
Did you see the link I put in for my something fun?
I did. I clicked on it and I saw a little bit about it because as soon as I saw the first sentence, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. So this one is, I think, is really cool. So the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope has taken the first ever image of a young sun-like star accompanied by 2 exoplanets. So
that's amazing.
Getting a picture of a planet and a sun, a star that is similar to so something that looks like our solar system has been extremely rare. But until now, they've never actually been able to observe more than one planet orbiting that star. This is the first time there's actually 2. And so there's pictures. You can go to this link and see the pictures. There are 2 gas giants that orbit their star. It says 160 to 320 times the distance from, the Earth to Sun distance from their star. And they say they're similar to Jupiter and Saturn as also kind of 2 big gas giants, but Jupiter and Saturn are only 5 and 10 times, the Earth to Sun distance. So these planets are way further away from their sun than the ones from our solar system generally are, the big ones. But they have found that these planets are actually way heavier than the ones in our solar system. It says the inner planet has about 14 times Jupiter's mass, and the outer one has 6 times Jupiter's mass.
Wow!
So very big planets orbiting a very, a sun-like star. Hey, maybe someday we will be able to get ourselves to another solar system and hang with some aliens. That'd be fun.
This is so cool.
So there you go.
This is so cool. No, I had not seen this before. I saw you put it in the notes for something fun and was like, what?
Well, there you go.
That is so awesome.
All right.
Okay. I'm still reading the article, but I will stop. Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. I have something completely different. This is not as cool as your thing, I'm afraid. But, okay, so this is a Wired article of a mathematician answers a 150-year-old chess problem. So this is the following exercise. Can you arrange 8 queens on a board so that none of them are attacking each other? And if you do, can you find a second arrangement, a third? How many are there? So this is the 150-year-old challenge. The 8 queens on a board was what showed up in I didn't pull it out. It was like a 1840s chess magazine.
Right.
But the general solution or the general problem is called the n queens problem. So if you have an n by n board, how many ways are there to place n queens on an n by n board? So 23 queens on a 23 by 23, or 1,000 on a 1,000 by 1,000, or a million on a million by million square board. So this article goes through how Michael Simkin, he is a postdoctoral fellow at Harvard University's Center of Mathematical Sciences and Applications, found a I think they were careful to not call this a solution. It is the best approximation to date. So Simkin proved that for huge chessboards with a large number of queens, there are approximately 0.143 times n to the nth configurations. So a lot. So on a million by million board, the number of ways to arrange 1 million non-threatening queens is 1 followed by about 5 million zeros.
Just a handful.
Not very many. Yeah. So the I don't know, the article, I didn't pull out everything in the article. I like many Wired articles. This was very long and very well written, engrossing. But he had been working with another person, and they'd actually given up on trying to find this problem a couple years earlier, and then had found they had found an attempt to do a different solution like last year or something like that. But then what he said in this was he realized that yeah, that's right, because the previous solution they had done basically a kind of brute forcing thing where they would randomly choose solutions and then essentially do kind of a random walk to try and find solutions. But this says his key realization was that queens in an n-queens configuration were far more likely to occupy certain squares than others, so it didn't make sense to use the strategy that he and Luria had used where they chose every space with an equal likelihood. So he basically used this probability to his advantage. So the comment here is that because queens in the middle of the board attack the most spaces, most configurations feature more queens on the side of the board than near the center. So once a board has even 100 or so spaces along each side, Simkin found these effects started to overwhelm other possibilities. Almost all the configurations have their queens distributed in a particular way, with fewer queens near the middle of the board and more along the sides. Kind of makes sense because they can attack.
Right.
How queens can attack. So what he needed to do was basically figure out how to weight the probabilities for each squares and then try and choose places based on probability instead of just a equal weight. So then the other cool thing about this was that, so he proved that his formula was more than just a minimum, that it was a nearly exact description by using a strategy known as the entropy method. And then here's the sort of last thing I pulled out. So imagine you have a valid n queens configuration and you want to share it with someone. If the other person knows roughly what a configuration looks like, how much more information do you need to share before they can reconstruct it precisely? So Simkin was able to calculate a maximum number of configurations by tracking the number of spaces not under attack after the position of each new additional queen. This maximum value matched his minimum one almost perfectly, which is how he concluded that he just about pinpointed the actual number of n-queen configurations. So the article says that his proof brought long-sought clarity to the classic problem. Not that 0.143 n to the n, I guess, seems like clarity to most people. But there you go.
Okay.
I thought that was a cool article.
I had not seen
that. There you go. That's my something fun.
Math. It's what's for dinner, along with moose meat.
Just bring it back to the beginning. Full circle.
Right.
Full circle.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, John.
There you go.
I am clearly tired. So,
well, it has been a long week. So, call it a show.
Yeah.
Call it a wrap. Have a good weekend. I will talk to you next week.
All right. See you, John.
Bye.
Bye.